Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is a continuation of my top 10, 15, 20, 30 albums from the years 1965 to 1989, and today it is 1988, and not the best of years, although there's still some very good albums, and it's going to be a top 15 today. Now this will leave only 5 more years to go, and I will put a poll up of 1982, 1967 and 1989. It'll be the last poll because I'll do the 5, 4 and 3 from that poll, so whichever wins comes next, whichever comes second comes after that, and whichever is third comes after that, and then the final video will be 1973 and one before that, 1979. Okay, getting into this, as normal there are 3 bubbling unders, and they are Talking Heads and Naked, and it's not a bad album. There's some very good songs on it, like Nothing But Flowers, which is great, and Totally Nude I think is a very good song. Mr. Jones has got a really good groove, and Blind's not bad, but it's not their best, but it's still not a bad album. And the second bubbling under is Erasure the Innocents, and I think this is a really good album. Some big hit singles off it, like A Little Respect, Ship of Fools and Chains of Love, but there are other really good tracks on it, like Phantom Bride and Hallowed Ground. A couple of really good Erasure albums in the 80s, and I think there may be one from 1989, or maybe it's 1990, I'm not sure yet. And the third bubbling under is Brian Wilson and his self-titled album, and I think this is great. This is better than what the Beach Boys have been ploughing out for absolute years. Love and Mercy, the opening track, is a great song. Let It Shine is co-written with Jeff Lynne. Rio Grande is a big epic, it's about 8 minutes long, but my favourite one is only about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and it is Little Children, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, getting into the top 15, and number 15 for me is Leonard Cohen and I'm Your Man, and this is the resurgence of Leonard Cohen, and this is the one with First We Take Manhattan, which is brilliant. Jennifer Warnes covered that before he actually recorded it, and Ain't No Cure for Love, and she did exactly the same in that as well. But his voice is really deep in this. It's a really good sound. Yes, there is a lot of sort of 80s synth, but they're very, very tasteful. The title track is very good. Jazz Police has got a bit of a funky vibe to it, but my favourite track off this is Tower of Song with the do-dum-dum-dum, de-do-dum-dums. I think it's really, really good, and I believe Tom Jones covered that as well. Yeah, as I say, this was his resurgence, and this did actually very well. So number 15 is I'm Your Man by Leonard Cohen. At number 14, and we have Fairground Attraction and First of a Million Kisses. This is the one with the big #1 hit single, Perfect, on it. Now this is like almost like jazz pop, so it is, but it's very acoustic, and Eddie Reader's voice is absolutely beautiful in it. I think she's absolutely beautiful anyway. Find My Love was the second single, which I think is actually better than Perfect, but my favourite track is The Moon on the Rain, which I think is absolutely gorgeous, with the lyric I'll put a string of lights round your heart, which is one of my all-time favourite lyrics. A Smile and a Whisper is very good. Claire, a bit jazzy, but it is good. Whispers, Alleluia, absolutely beautiful album, all written by Mark Nevin, or co-written by Mark Nevin, who went on to co-write with Morrissey on Kill Uncle. So excellent album, and number 14 for me. And talking of Morrissey, we have Viva Hate as my number 13, and this is his debut album. A lot of people think this is his best. I don't, although there's some real classic tracks on here, like Suede Head and Every Day Is Like Sunday, 2 big top 10 hit singles. I think the track I Don't Mind If You Forget Me could have been a 3rd single, and I think it would have been top 10 as well. But you do get a couple of not so good songs, like The Ordinary Boys is a bit of a throwaway, as is Break Up the Family. But Last Night Maudlin Street is an epic track. Angel Angel, Down We Go Together is one of those very, very short songs. There's a couple of very short songs off this that sort of link songs together. But Alsatian Cousin, very good opener. It's not a bad album at all. I think it's very good, but still not one of his best. I guess my number 13. At number 12, and we have Transvision Vamp and Pop Art. and this is really in your face. It's almost overproduced, but it's so good. Trash City, I think, is brilliant. I Want Your Love was a big hit single, which is great. Revolution Baby is a re-recorded version of their first single. This version is the best. Tell That Girl to Shut Up is very good as well. Sister Moon was another hit single. Other great tracks like Psychosonic Cindy, which I think is really good. Sex Kick and Wildstar, all really good tracks, and you know, fronted by Wendy James, and they were a breath of fresh air in 1988. So Transvision Vamp Pop Art gets my number 12. And at number 11 we have the Style Council, Confessions of a Pop Group, and this did nothing for them. By this time the Style Council couldn't sell records at all. They were old hat. I think the Cost of Loving, their album from the previous year, really did kill them. But this for me is their best album. It's in two halves. The first half is almost like piano jazzy tunes, which are really good, like It's a Very Deep Sea, The Story of Someone's Shoes, got really good vocals on it. Changing of the Guard, The Gardener of Eden, all really good stuff. Side 2 is the poppier stuff with Life at Top People's Health Farm, which I think is a really good track. Why I Went Missing, I absolutely love it. How She Threw It All Away is one of their best ever singles. Confessions 1, 2 and 3 and Confessions of a Pop Group are really good songs as well. But there's one I don't like, which is I Was a Old Daddy's Toy Boy, which I think is rubbish. But still, an excellent album, and it's actually very long, so it's probably best served on CD. But Style Council, Confessions of a Pop Group gets my number 11. And at number 10 we have Graham Parker and the Mona Lisa's Sister, and this is very critically acclaimed album for him in the 80s. His previous album Steady Nerves had a little bit more of that 80s production. This is more stripped back, and the songs off this are excellent. Don't Let It Bring You Down is a really good opener. Under the Mask of Happiness is a fantastic track. OK Hieronymus is probably my favourite track off this. Back in Time, another great song. Blue Highways, very acoustic, but I absolutely love it. Success, really good track. I Don't Know has got a bit of that Hank Marvin guitar on it, very catchy, and he does a really good version of Cupid, the Sam Cooke song, at the very end. A really strong album from Graham Parker in the 80s, one of his best of the 80s, so that's my number 10. At number 9 we have R.E.M. and Green, and this is around the time that I first really heard of R.E.M. I had heard tracks like the one I loved before, but this is the one that everybody was raving about, and quite rightly so. It's got Orange Crush on it, possibly my favourite R.E.M. single, and Stand, which is great. A pop song and another fantastic song. A lot of it is actually quite acoustic, like You Are My Everything has got a really acoustic feel to it, a little bit of folky feel. Turn Your Inside Out is a really good track, World Leader Pretend. But my favourite track off this is actually the very last one, and it's untitled. It's not on the album, it's not listed anywhere, and it's just down as untitled. And I think the vocal delivery between Michael Stipe and Mick Mills is fantastic. So my favourite track of all time by R.E.M. So R.E.M. Green gets my number 9. At number 8 we have the Bangles and Everything. Yeah, this is the one with In Your Room on it, which is a really good slice of 60s psychedelia, brilliant track. The big hit is off this as well, Eternal Flame, which I remember before it was released as a single. I had this album and I said that has to be a single because it would get to number 1, and I was proved right. Bell Jar, another really good rockin' track. Glitter Years I absolutely love, which references Hang On To Yourself by David Bowie. Crash and Burn, one of the best ever closers to an LP, absolutely brilliant. It's only about 2.5 minutes long, but fantastic song. Waiting For You is very good. I'll Set You Free was another hit single. Be With You was a hit single as well. A very strong album by the Bangles, and it gets my number 8. Now at number 7, if you had asked me at the end of 1988 what was the best album of that year, I would have said this one, and I have the Travelling Wilburys Volume 1. And the problem with this is I have played this to death. I loved this album so much, but has gone past that zone where I am a little bit sick of it, and whenever I'm playing this again I don't quite enjoy it as much, but it is still a brilliant album. Handle with Care, fantastic, as is End of the Line, the two singles. Dirty World I've always loved. Rattled, one of the weaker tracks off it, even though I'm a big Jeff Lynne fan. It's okay. Last Night was the very first track I fell in love with on this album, with Tom Petty on vocals, and it was that song that actually got me into Tom Petty. Margarita, I love it. Tweeter and the Monkey Man, brilliant track. Congratulations, was never that keen on it, but love it now. And Heading for the Light is a standard George Harrison song. It's a really good album, but as I said before, I played this to death, and it only gets my number 7 now. At number 6, a very weird album, and it is Toya, Prostitute. And this is like a narrative album. It's a story of prostitute, and it's actually in places very funny, but it is so experimental. There's no singles taken off this, and it's so different to the pop stuff she had been doing the previous couple of years. It starts off with Hello, and it's basically her at the doctor's, and you hear Toya's laugh, and it is infectious, it really is. Prostitute is a very good song, as is Wife. Homecraft, very good. Dreamhouse has got a very almost gothic, macabre feel to it. Let the Power Bleed, brilliant. Now these are all these songs actually segue into each other. So again, this is better on CD. I think this was actually devised for CD, but because it was 1988, it came out in vinyl as well. But if there was ever to be a single, I think Falling to Earth may have cracked the top 40, because it's got a very infectious chorus, although the verses are narrative. Jazz Singers in the Trees is great. Veil of Evesham is very good, and Ghosts in the Universe has got a bit of a Tom Tom Club feel to it. When I first heard this, I thought this was dreadful, I really did, but after repeated listens, this is one of her better albums, and so it gets my number 6, Toya, Prostitute. Number 5, and I bought this when it came out, and it is The Primitives and Lovely, and this is filled with like 2.5 minute catchy little guitar jingle jangle songs, and it's really, really good. There's quite a few singles off this. Stop Killing Me, I believe, was a single which did nothing, and then Through the Flowers has got a very psychedelic 1967 type feel to it, but it's beautiful. Those were not hit singles. Then they did have a hit with Crash, which everybody will know, and the follow up to that is Out of Reach, which is my favourite track off this, although the version on this is not the same as the single. I think they re-recorded it for single version. But Spacehead is great. I'll Stick With You, really catchy. Buzz Buzz Buzz, where Tracy doesn't take the lead vocals, is fantastic. I love her voice, by the way. It is very dreamy. Ocean Blues, a dreamy song. Run Baby Run, really, really good. Don't Want Anything to Change is only about 1 minute and 40 seconds long, but it's a really good retrack. Love this album, and it gets my number 5. At number 4, and we have Sparks and Interior Design, and this actually is my favourite Sparks album of the 1980s, and this is the one that gets slated all the time, and I love that retro look. That's a 1970s picture, by the way, and I love it. I think it's a brilliant cover. So Important was the single off this, and it's probably, I think, one of the weakest. Just Got Back From Heaven is brilliant. You Got a Hold on My Heart, really good. Loverama, excellent. My favourite track off this is The Toughest Girl in Town, absolutely love it. And my second favourite is the one that follows it, Let's Make Love, brilliant. Madonna, About Madonna is another fantastic track. I think this is great. Yes, it does have that 80s sound, but it works so well, and it gets my number 4. And at number 3 we have Tanitatium and Ancient Heart, and Tanitatium is my favourite female singer. This has got her 2 hit singles, Good Tradition, which got top 10, which is a very bouncy little number, but probably the most famous one is Twist in My Sobriety, which is absolutely wonderful. 2 other singles, Cathedral Song, which is gorgeous, and World Outside Your Window, which is an upbeat number, is excellent as well. But yeah, get really great songs like He Likes the Sun, Preyed Upon, Sighing Innocence. A fantastic debut from the young girl. She was only about 18, 19 whenever this came out, and she hasn't, well, she's bettered this, but she hasn't bettered the sales of this. This is still her most successful album, and it is excellent, and it gets my number 3. Number 2, and we have my favourite album by this guy, and it's Nick Lowe, Pinker and Prouder Than Previous. Now this very nearly got the number 1 spot, but this has My Wildest Dream with that guitar loop, which I absolutely love. I always thought it was keyboards, but I think it's actually guitar. Crying in My Sleep, brilliant. Sounds a bit like Johnny Cash. Big Hair has got a bit of a rockabilly feel to it. I Got the Love, really catchy. Black Lincoln Continental, which is the Graham Parker song from his Steady Nerves album, is excellent. Cry It Out's got a bit of a reggae feel to it. Geisha Girl is pure country, and I absolutely love it. Wishing Well has a real new wave feel to it, which is great, and Big Love is a fantastic closer. I love this album. I think it's his best, but unfortunately it doesn't get my best from 1988, because my number 1 album from 1988, and it is The Proclaimers and Sunshine on Leith, and this is majestic. This is the one with I'm Going to Be 500 Miles On It, which everybody loves. I know a lot of people are sick of it. I never got sick of it. I'm On My Way, which is on one of the Shrek movies, is one of the catchiest tunes you'll ever hear. The title track is possibly my all-time favourite song by the Proclaimers. But then you get Cap in Hand, with a bit of a political song, but it's really good. My Old Friend the Blues, I think, is a cover of is it a Steve Earle song? I think It's Saturday Night, I think, is brilliant. It's a sort of a lazy type song, but really good. Teardrops, good. Oh Jean, catchy as hell. Sean, the vocals are brilliant in that. And Then I Met You, another brilliant song. I love this album. It's their second album. Their first album was all acoustic, which is great as well, but this has the band behind them, and it's just elevates them. So The Proclaimers, Sunshine on Leith, gets my number 1 album from 1988. Okay, that's me for now. As I said before, I will put up another poll with those 3 years on it, and once I finish 1973, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to go through all the number 1 albums of all those years and put them in my order of preference. So that will be the end of this series. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have the next video sometime between now and the new year, and a very Merry Christmas to everybody. Okay, all the best now. Bye bye.